the Fyre Fest, Season 8 of Game of Thrones, Danica Patrick's NASCAR career, the Japanese Grand Prix, and the Goodyear 400. What do they all have in common? They were all hyped up like a second coming of the Intimidator and delivered the excitement and entertainment of a differential calculus lecture. The Japanese Grand Prix, like the Fyre Fest, had me wondering, why did those dipshits even buy tickets? Like Season 8 of Game of Thrones, I like to pretend it didn't happen. And the Goodyear 400, that was pure Danica. Looked promising, but just made me question why I even watch this sport. Like calculus, it made me want to crawl into a hole and die. But we can only roast the races we are given, so let's at least pretend like we paid attention. The Japanese Grand Prix happened at midnight Sunday morning here in the Midwest. Going into the race, Max Verstappen drug that shitbox Red Bull onto pole position, only after surviving the raging wildfires that red flag practiced multiple times.
The smoke and the flames now, and the flame is crashing to the ground, not quite to the mooring mast. All the humanity and all the fans just screaming around him.
However, right behind him, the two McLarens lined up second and third. And the McLarens are the obviously faster car at the moment, so here we are, ready to watch a thrilling battle up front for the lead. And what did we get? We get Max fucking off into the distance from lights out and winning. The only little bit of action was Max attempting to commit vehicular manslaughter on Lando by forcing him off the pit lane exit. And by attempting manslaughter, I mean Lando drove off the side of the pit lane exit. The racing up front was a snoozer. The mid and back of the pack battled, but no one gave a shit. And the window licker started and finished in last. We got a fucking parade. And look, we already have the F1 annual parade. It's called Monaco. We don't need another boring, mind-numbing, make me want to swan dive off a bridge race. Especially when the race was at fucking midnight. Do you know what I could have been doing instead of watching this race? I could have been asleep, or watching a movie, or buying drugs, or selling unregistered machine guns out the back of a box truck, or planning the hostile overtake of my HOA with a road flare and a rubber chicken. But no, we all had to watch this shit instead. What's even worse is I was thinking NASCAR would save my racing day. It didn't. So let's move on to the Goodyear 400, NASCAR's throwback weekend at Darlington Speedway. A bunch of the cars were decorated like old paint schemes of the past. The 5 of Kyle Larson was painted like Terry Labonte's 2003 Frosted Flakes car. The 2 of Austin Cindric was painted to look like Dale Sr.'s car from his time with Osterland. The 9 of Chase Elliott allegedly painted to look like Ken Trader's Kodiak scheme from '94. I say allegedly because look at this shit. What the fuck is this? This is like me copying my friend's homework in high school, and instead of turning in the homework, I turn in a CVS receipt instead. The 11 of Denny Hamlin was sporting the 2006 Carl Edwards Office Depot scheme. The 21 of Josh Berry was painted up like Jim Clark's 1965 Indy 500 winning Lotus. And the 24 of William Byron was painted in Jeff Gordon's 2015 Homestead Miami scheme. And those are all the ones I really give a fuck about. The rest of them were all painted up as whatever, but these are the ones I only care about. Before the race, Kevin Harvick and Clint Boyer were driving around the track in 2 old Wood Brothers cars, meaning the start of their broadcast was just Mike Joy and Larry McReynolds in the booth, and they were talking through the lineup. And it was beautiful. The 3-minute reprieve of hearing Kevin and Clint grate on my last fucking nerve was a godsend. But I fear it's like the phone on the wall ringing in the execution chamber. You may get a brief pause today, but you're still going to fucking die. On lap 4, Kyle Larson decides that he wasn't just content in winning the fan vote for favorite paint scheme. He decides he has to win this week's coveted Dum Dum of the Week award. He Danicas it coming out of turn 2, smashing the entire front end of the car on the inside wall, sending him to the garage. For this obvious war crime against Frosted Flakes, Kyle Larson was sentenced to death by drowning in a cereal bowl. And they didn't even need to find a bigger bowl. On lap 24, the 77 of Carson Hocevar gets into the wall and then spins. It would appear his time in the rice fields for re-education after the Atlanta race has made him forget how to drive. He would spin again on lap 82. However, this one really wasn't his fault. He was racing the 35 of Riley Herbst and the leader, the 24 of William Byron, trying to not go another lap down. Coming out of the turn, William Byron clips Carson's nose, turning him in front of Riley Herbst. Kinda rude there, William. On lap 138, NASCAR decided to shake the magic 8 ball. The 6 of Brad Keselowski did a half spin coming out of turn 4 as a result of a loose wheel. You can clearly see the wheel nut coming off the car. Brad is able to collect it and keeps it going, although he's limping around the bottom of the track at low speed. He manages to make it back to pit road to replace the wheel. This whole time, the race has been kept green. However, the NASCAR officials remembered they were in fact able to read, and the message on the 8 ball said, "Throw the caution for debris." So the caution comes out after Brad made it back to pit road, and the wheel nut was on the apron of the track. This also further goes to prove that NASCAR hates Eric Jones, who was coming onto pit road at the time. About 1 millisecond before reaching the line, the caution lights come on, meaning Eric was penalized for pitting while pit road was closed. Once again, a wheel coming off ruins everything. Well done, everybody.
Good job.
On lap 195, the 21 of Josh Berry spins out and crashes that beautiful Indy 500 throwback car after being clipped by Tyler Reddick in the 45. For crashing the Wood Brothers car, Ford had Reddick arrested and forced to watch reruns of the 2005 U.S. Grand Prix. You know, the F1 race where only 6 cars actually participated. That was only slightly worse than the racing this weekend.
So it looks like we're going to have a 6-car start. 6 cars outside our window here.
Well, the only people I can see that are happy are a bunch of Indians just below us who can see that Carter Kayan may well be on for a podium here this afternoon. Who knows what's going to happen in the US Grand Prix? It's the strangest race ever, and it gets underway now. Predictably, Michael Schumacher leads away from Rubens Barrichello, but 2 Jordans are going to make a bit of a battle with Minardi. Looks like we might...
With 49 laps to go, the 24 of William Byron gave up the lead of the race to come to pit road for new tires. He had led every lap of the race until that point. After the pit stops cycle out, the 45 of Tyler Reddick is out front, having undercut Byron on the pit stops. And because, like the Japanese Grand Prix, it was near impossible to pass the leader in clean air, Byron does not regain the lead and even gets shuffled back to 4th. With 4 laps to go, the 12 of Ryan Blaney had just finished a magic run through the field and was on his way to winning the race. But then, Kyle Larson, whose crew worked their asses off to rebuild the front end of that car and get him back out on track, sees Reddick ahead of him get into the wall. Larson checks up, but the 23 of Bubba Wallace is right behind him. So when he checks up, he gets dumped by Bubba, and there really isn't anything that Bubba could have done differently. I'm pretty sure Kyle at this point is just trying to run an insurance scam. For wrecking that beautiful throwback car not once, but twice, Kyle was taken to the Kellogg Gulag for re-education. He will now be brainwashed into thinking that he is the 4th Rice Krispies elf. We have Snap, Crackle, and Pop, so now Kyle will be known as Crunch in honor of what he does to his race car. He either wins a race or crashes out because of something dumb. Hold on. I'm sorry. After some in-depth research,
very, very large brain,
I've discovered that Snap, Crackle, and Pop are not elves. They are, in fact, gnomes. I apologize to them and the entire gnome family. I eagerly anticipate being canceled for mislabeling these brave American heroes. So Larson's crash leads to one more pit stop, followed by a green-white checkered. Blaney comes into pit road leading, but exits in 4th behind the 11 of Denny Hamlin, the 45 of Reddick, and the 24 of Byron. Penske has had continuous struggles on pit road, and it cost them there. They are struggling almost as much as Al Gore struggled to remain relevant after losing the 2000 election to George W. So Denny Hamlin leads the field back to green after being irrelevant all day long. He gets the jump on the restart and wins the race, making him a back-to-back winner.
disgusting!
William Byron gets second after leading 90% of the laps. After the race, the co-owner of 2311, Michael Jordan, yes, that Michael Jordan, is on pit road after talking to his driver, Tyler Reddick. As he walks past Ryan Blaney and congratulates him for the race, Blaney implies that he would have won if your boy, meaning Bubba Wallace, didn't spin out Larson. Did Bubba Wallace hit Kyle Larson? Yes. Could Bubba have avoided it? No. Did NASCAR Twitter react to this with the same rational discourse as a toddler having a sugar-induced meltdown? Yep. Was this just some lighthearted banter between competitors made obvious by Michael and Ryan shaking hands as he's saying it? Yes. Did it get blown out of proportion like everything in NASCAR because we have to force narratives to remain relevant? Also yes. So on to the awards. The This Is Why No One Likes You, You Big Dumb Dipshit award goes to Kyle Larson for wrecking not once, but twice. You know, for being in the conversation for the greatest driver of this era, Kyle seems to be as consistent as NASCAR's decision-making. Speaking of NASCAR's decision-making, I have a special announcement. Through magic backdoor dealings, I was able to obtain the actual NASCAR Magic 8-Ball. Yes, this is the real thing that NASCAR uses to make decisions, and definitely isn't something I ordered on Amazon today. So my prediction for next week is NASCAR will fuck everything up and be the laughingstock of the racing world. Anywho, the world's most expensive lawnmower award goes to Lando Norris and the McLaren for driving off the side of pit road and trying to blame it on Max. The Bipolar Race Award goes to Chase Briscoe. A couple weeks ago at Vegas, I introduced the Chase Briscoe Depression Meter, a meter that reads between "What the fuck are we doing?" and "I'm going to drink bleach." Since Vegas, Chase has finished 4th at Homestead Miami and 9th at Martinsville, but this week he finished 28th after qualifying 4th. The current reading on the Chase Briscoe Depression Meter is at, well, at least I'm not Brad Keselowski. The Smokey the Bear is Crying Award goes to the Japanese Grand Prix for starting more fires than space heaters. The We Were Hoping for Better award goes to Yoshi Toyota for qualifying behind the guy he replaced. Yeti Snowball managed to finish ahead of Awful this race, though, so he's got that going for him. The This Is Why I Don't Bet on This Stuff award goes to me. Remember when I said Christopher Bell forgot how to drive? He got 3rd this week. Remember when I said Kyle Busch was washed? 10th. Ty Gibbs, who's been dog shit forever, and I criticized him for it, 9th. I can't wait for Kyle Larson to rattle off 3 in a row now. This next weekend, we have F1 at Bahrain, IndyCar at Long Beach, and NASCAR heading to Bristol for the Food City 500. So here are my predictions. In F1, the snooze fest will continue until morale improves. Ferrari will Ferrari, and Lance Stroll will do something stupid. For IndyCar, I predict Fox will fuck up the coverage again, and at least 25% of the race will be missed due to ads. In NASCAR, I predict that Goodyear and NASCAR, having heard me say that Spring Bristol last year was my favorite race of the year, will somehow, someway, fuck up this race as a personal insult to me. And Denny Hamlin will win, making everything terrible. So in review, Kyle Larson has a new career as a cereal mascot, which will not require much costume work. The best part of the broadcast had 2/3 of the booth missing. F1 is the world's fastest and most expensive parade. I need psychiatric help. NASCAR Twitter needs a juice box and a nap. And if you're still watching this, I hope the straitjacket isn't cutting off your circulation. None of this is real. NASCAR doesn't exist. Wake up.